Hey gamers, it's G from the corner, and today we are going to be talking about Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, the remake, the remaster, the reimagining that just dropped on the Switch like a week ago, 2 weeks ago. It's been a minute. I just finished the game up the other night, and you know, I think it's settled enough in my mind. I put a lot of time into it, put about 30 hours into it. I think I can do a review. I think I can finally talk about this, what everybody has already said is a masterpiece. I'm sure you've heard that for years, not beyond even just the week or so this remake's been out. The original is held in such high regard by everybody who's played it. It's seen as like one of the best Mario RPGs, one of the best RPGs, one of the best GameCube games. Heck, some people's lists of favorite games of all time includes this very game. So, you know, going into it, it's obviously one of those, okay, is it really that good? I have my expectations set to, you know, this will be a fun time. I enjoy the Mario RPGs from time to time, so I'll probably like this. But yeah, after playing it, this is really, really good. This is amazing, honestly. I have a lot to say, so let's just dive into it. I think I should open with the impact, the sort of legacy, and just the mindset going into a game like Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door. It's been held, again, in such high regard by so many people. It is the top standard for Mario RPGs, a subset of Mario spin-offs that hasn't been the healthiest lately. It's better than it was a few years ago, but this is like we took 15 steps down and now we've taken like 5 steps back up. You know, it's like, okay, we're almost there, but we were already better than this before. You know, the Paper Mario series took a steep fall off a cliff with Paper Mario Sticker Star, and it slowly went back up. Every entry was better than the last, but it was a, oh, you know, we're almost there, but oh, we can't have original character designs, the combat has to be weird and gimmicky. All this other stuff got in the way from that game being very amazing, and me even really wanting to check out that game. The Mario Luigi series is dead. The only other thing that remains is Mario and Rabbids, which is very good. I think the first game was very good, and I'm sure the second game is just as good, but I don't know, it doesn't seem like it has the same vibe for a lot of people, so it hasn't really taken off as much. This all changed, however, last June, about a year ago now, with the announcement of the Super Mario RPG remake. This was such a shock to so many people, myself included. The original Mario RPG being fully remade from the ground up for the Switch. And the game wasn't made to look more generic. They took the exact art style, how the characters look, the proportions, and of course, the designs of these random original characters they made for this game, and brought them all back in full 3D. It looks gorgeous. It's an incredible remake. I highly recommend that game. But that game put a few things into question. Well, we're not allowed to have original characters in Mario RPGs. Look at Mario RPG, you're remaking that, so clearly that's allowed. Then rumblings were also swirling around about a Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door remake. This is at the same time as the Mario RPG remake was getting announced, so it's like, okay, well, we got this now. Probably be a bit of a wait before we get Thousand Year Door, but lo and behold, at the next Direct, they ended off with a Thousand Year Door remake. So yeah, here we are 8 months later, and now we got that in our hands. It's kind of crazy. Again, like this game, they remastered and redid a lot of the assets, but nothing's been like redesigned. All the characters look just as they did in the GameCube original. The assets have just been completely redrawn to look better, you know? It honestly kind of feels like they went above and beyond just trying to listen to what the fans wanted. You know, people would complain about something as simple as, oh, in the newer games, Paper Mario has white outlines and the animation is very stop motion-esque. He also doesn't speak. We don't like that. Bring back how you did it in Thousand Year Door. And lo and behold, it's not. They didn't give him white outlines. They make them kind of puppet-based. They're like in layers. You know, their arms are like a separate layer from their torso, and they kind of move along as they did in the original. Mario has Martinet voice clips. They're all old clips, I'm assuming, because Martinet is no longer doing the voice. But they are his clips. So, like, yeah, they really didn't have to do stuff like this. And if you look at the concept art, they weren't originally planning to, but I guess at some point, somebody probably just went online, read a forum poster, watched a video, and was like, yeah, let's just do that, whatever. I mean, if we're making the fans happy already, we might as well go all the way, which, you know, honestly, I don't even mind the white outlines. I don't mind how the Origami King looks, all right, in comparison to this game, but you know what? Fuck, they did what the people wanted. I can't get mad at them for that. And again, there's just been so much added from the original. Not like in terms of straight up new content, but just in terms of little polishes and extras. From what I've heard, there's plenty of new animations and poses that the characters are in this game that they were never found in the original. There's plenty of like angle shifts and cutscenes. I know for a fact these weren't in the original, even though I haven't played it. But like, yeah, the game is not presented the same way it was in the original in this remake, and all the better for it. Again, there's even more stuff like music, right? Every chapter of the game has a different main battle theme instead of the original. I think they're all great. I wish there was like one or two more that maybe were in the major key instead of them all being like depressing after the first chapter. But you know, again, great stuff there. I love all that music. There's even more music in the hub worlds or the overworlds. You know, like you'll go into a shop and it'll play a more chill version of the music. All the remixed music is amazing. I was kind of wondering if they were even going to bother with that, but when I heard it in the reveal trailer, I was like, oh my god, they took the techno-y, all right music, not my favorite, from Thousand Year Door, and gave it the big band treatment, and it all sounds phenomenal. There's not a single track here that I think is a downgrade, in my opinion. I know some people think otherwise, but in my humble opinion. But that's enough sugarcoating. So how is the game itself? Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door is a turn-based RPG that was released in 2004, and it hasn't really been touched too much. I'm sure there's been some health changes to enemies. I'm sure there's a few things to make the game easier, but the core gameplay is just as it was in the original. You run around overworlds talking to NPCs, getting into battles, progressing through a chapter system. There's 8 chapters in all. They all have different things going on. New characters to meet, crazy stories, just a lot of fun, wacky stuff happens in this game. All right, you'll play the first chapter and you'll have to go save some Koopa's dad from a dragon. You'll go to the third chapter and you'll be entered in a wrestling tournament. And I don't want to say anything else because you know what? I don't want to spoil the game for the people who somehow have not played or seen anything from the game before. There's a lot of fun stuff that happens. I will admit though, the game kind of starts rising and peaks around the middle point. The best chapters in the game, in my opinion, are probably chapters, I want to say 3 to 6, maybe like 3 and 4 were the absolute peak. 3 was probably my favorite. And then, you know, from then on, it kind of goes downhill a bit. Like, the end game is not as much fun as the beginning, middle game, honestly. I feel like the last few chapters were such a slog to get through. Chapter 7 used to have a big backtracking issue in the original, but they added a kind of warp pipe area where you could just go between all the locations in the chapter. So that made things a lot easier, but it doesn't change the fact that the chapter is really just one big fetch quest. And then the final chapter is literally just a huge gauntlet that feels overly long, is not fun, doesn't really have much relevance to anything that's going on. The environment design is pretty, at least it's not like a generic Bowser's Castle like you would have seen in a modern Paper Mario, but it's still not that great. I'm still not that big into it, honestly. It sucks that the ending left such a bad taste in my mouth because, honestly, the game is phenomenal. The gameplay is fantastic. The combat is wonderful, honestly. It's more of a half step between what you get in the Mario and Luigi's with tons of button presses and timings, and Mario RPG, which had random ones that felt very arbitrary and confusing. This game, it's very simple. Go up to enemy, press A, and then you jump on it, but then you can also do, like, you know, parries. You can do these, like, style point moves. You can do, like, poses and flips in the air that increase your style gauge, essentially, allowing you to, you know, get more star points, which fill up a meter, which allow you to do specials that you unlock every chapter you beat. It's really, really cool. Each character obviously has their own input system, as well as, you know, your hammer attack, you hold back the stick. Some characters, maybe you'll hold back until a meter fills up. You might have to do specific button inputs. It's all fun stuff with the combat. For those unfamiliar, the way the party system works in this game is that you are Mario and you pick one of, like, a handful of OC do not steal enemies that join you along your journey. They all have different attacks. They can't be upgraded via XP. They have to go get upgrades from a guy in the main town. But, you know, it's kind of fun to mix and match. You know, you're always going to have Mario up, but then you have your assistant, your partner character, who has their own skill set. And being the second party member essentially is your second turn. So, you know, you can actually heal Mario. Let's say you want to attack with Mario and you're like, okay, I don't really... Goobella's not going to do the damage I need right now. Let me just use an item to heal Mario or get more FP so I can do a powerful attack next turn. You know, you can do things like that. You can even not do anything with the partners, just defend or appeal to fill up your star meter for those aforementioned special attacks. Another facet that I really love about the combat is the badge system. So essentially you can augment Mario and give him different special moves by applying certain badges. You know, some badges will do things like, okay, you can use this attack now, which costs a certain amount of FP. You'll do more damage, but at the cost of, you know, if you fail your timed input, you'll do no damage. You lose defense for more attack, you lose attack for more defense. These can be applied to Mario or your partner, but it's still one set of total badge points that you have. Each badge will take up a certain amount of points, and you can upgrade them by leveling up. And that's another thing, the leveling system is actually very unique in this game. Mario doesn't have like a lot of stats. He really only has health, FP, and badge points. Granted, he also has attack and defense stats, but those are unchangeable. The attack will only be changed by the type of weapon or attack you're using. You get like upgrades to your attack throughout the game, and defense is just never changed whatsoever. There's no like gear system like in the Mario and Luigi's or something or another. This leads to a very, very interesting turn-based system. Damage numbers are always super low. Like saying that I can do 10 damage in a turn is very good, all right? At the start of the game, you're only doing 2 damage per turn, which, well, it sounds pretty weak. Most of the enemies only have, like, what, 4 or 8 HP. Bosses will only have, like, 20 to 40 HP. The final boss of the game only has 150 HP. And here's the thing. Those are low numbers, and you think there's a way to cheat the system, and there is. It's called upgrading the crap out of your badge points and getting as many stat upgrades as you can. At the end of the game, I had a badge that allowed Mario to do 1 more damage per attack, per jump and a hammer attack, and also an additional 1 more hit of damage per jump and hammer attack, but only if I got my timed inputs correct. As I mentioned in the example earlier, you get your inputs correct, you would do extra damage. If you miss your inputs, you do no damage. I had also buffed partner attacks at some point, but in doing this, I barely had any HP or FP. I mean, I did most of the badge upgrades earlier on. Let me put it like this. Until Chapter 7, I only had 20 HP. I got the second upgrade for Bobbery and realized that he goes up to 40, and I was like, yeah, you know what? Maybe it's time to upgrade Mario's health. But the thing is, I never really needed to because there's so many defense options. Badges will, you know, have your defense if you are low HP. But also, you can just straight up parry every attack in the game. It's really weird. So you can, like, guard block every attack, which is very, very easy to do, by the way. It's like, you press it and you have such a long window of time for when they're going to attack. Or if you press at just the right time, you can do a parry and you'll do no damage or even damage the attacker themselves. It's an interesting mechanic that leads to people wanting to play really risky. You know, myself, I did just that. I barely got any health upgrades, mostly went for badge points, and there were some bosses I literally took down in 3 or 4 turns. I was like, wow, this is incredible. The final boss was a cakewalk because I was able to upgrade myself and I played smart. It wasn't like a cakewalk I don't know how to explain it. It wasn't like easy, but it was a cakewalk. It felt like I was able to just destroy this boss, and it wasn't a war of attrition with me only doing like 3 to 5 points of damage per turn, you know? It was great stuff. I really, really enjoyed it. To wrap up this pretty long combat section, I mean, like, I totally understand why people hate the newer games now, honestly. I really can't even imagine playing a Paper Mario game without this combat system because it's fun. It's fun and interesting. It's not like the craziest thing in the world, all right? But it's like honestly enjoyable. I would try and get into battles because I'd want to level up so I could use more badges on my guy. Like, it was genuinely a ton of fun playing through a game like this. And I really hope that they just go wild. The next Mario RPG is taking cues from this game. You know, it doesn't have to be just like that with the badge system, but at least have fun combat like this game, Mario RPG, and the Mario and Luigi series, of course. Now, on another topic, as I mentioned earlier, the game is beautiful, the soundtrack is amazing, the characters have new animations, great stuff, but honestly, just as a game, Thousand Year Door is extremely well written. I feel like almost every character got a laugh out of me. This game is such a goofball comedy adventure. There's twists and turns, but they're all silly and in good fun. You'll meet tons of characters with weird backstories, sometimes sad backstories. You'll meet a Bob-omb whose wife died while he was at sea, so he doesn't want to be a pirate anymore. It's really weird and sad, but that kind of seriousness just added to the absurdity of the game. Hearing these characters actually take this cartoon bomb's sad trauma seriously, it just kind of, it feels real, but it also is just like, look at what I'm looking at right now. This is a ridiculous character saying ridiculous things. Again, the game is more funny than anything, okay? Bowser's shenanigans in this game. Bowser's in this game, you know, main Mario bad guy. He's in the game, and this is by far the least involvement he has in any Mario RPG by a landslide. In most of them, he plays a somewhat secondary antagonistic role. He appears reoccurringly, and in this game, he appears reoccurringly, but he barely ever interacts with Mario himself. You fight him one time during the wrestling chapter, and then once again right before the end of the game. Most of Bowser's screen time is his like own sub-chapter segment. So every time you beat a chapter, I should have mentioned this earlier, you take a break from Mario for a second to play as Peach, who is currently being held captive wherever she is being held captive, not going to spoil, and as she walks around and kind of talks to a computer, and, you know, it's a sort of dramatic, serious kind of, oh, she's learning more about what the bad guys are doing, whatever. It's a kind of melodrama. And then you get the Bowser, who's just doing some goofy shit every chapter, okay? He'll end up going to the location you were in the chapter before the one you just cleared, and he'll just do stupid shit. Sometimes he'll play through these like weird 2D side-scrolling platformer segments as him. Sometimes he'll just walk through the town. He always says the dumbest things. He's after the main MacGuffins, the crystal stars as well, but he can never find one for himself. Oh man, there's so many. There's this one amazing interaction where he ends up at the gym of the main wrestler from chapter 3 at one point, and I think it is the hardest I've laughed in any Mario RPG. Genuinely, it is absolute hilarity. I thought, you know, I was thinking at first that, okay, the newer games are apparently really funny, but maybe they didn't have the chops back then. No, they always had the sauce, man. This game is something else, man. I love the characters. I love characters like Rock Hawk, this wrestler dude who you fight in chapter 3. He's such a funny, silly guy. And I want to give more examples like that, but you know what? I don't want to ruin this game for everybody. I feel like the most frequently asked question when the reviewer says the game is funny is, well, why is it funny? And the only answer I can give is, well, look at this part. Doesn't this sound funny? But I can't spoil it for you guys. This is a good-ass game. I recommend it highly, highly. And I'm not stupid. I really don't think that me, G-Corner, haver of 550-something subscribers, maybe it'll be 560 by the time this goes up. That'd be nice. Needs to tell you that I really, like 2 weeks after launch, okay, I think everybody else has kind of explained why this game is a masterpiece and you should check it out. And yeah, my thoughts are no different. Again, the combat's great, the game's funny. Any failings I have? The exploration isn't the most fun. There's quite a few segments in the game where you are just kind of going back and forth. They fixed a lot of it in the remake, but they didn't fix all of it. And I mean, all you can really do by fixing it is removing it. And so then it just turns into dialogue box followed by immediate other dialogue box. It's kind of unfortunate. It's not like the whole game is this bad, but like there are a few parts where I'm like, damn, I wish this game had more interesting location traversal. Everything's like in a kind of pop-up setup where you're always going left to right, no matter what. You're never really going like back and forth. There's like one or two maybe openish areas, but aside from that, everything is kind of built in this box setup. And I know they've already moved past this with like the more recent games in the series, but you know, that's just the one thing I've noticed here that might be done better in the other games. Honestly, when I was playing through this game, it kind of just made me want to go and play all the Paper Marios, because funny story, I've actually never beaten any of the games in the series. I came pretty damn close to beating the original like 6 years ago. I've had Super sitting on my shelf for like 12 years, but I've never bothered to actually like beat it. And Sticker Star, oh no, I did beat Sticker Star because I was a 9-year-old and had nothing better to do. That game sucks ass. But I never even played the other two actually. So I'd honestly love to do that at some point, but not right now. I need a little break from this papery Mario fella. Yeah, this was a long one. I think this might be the longest review on the corner, perhaps, but you know what? That's what this game deserves. It deserves that kind of lip service from me. I can't just gloss over things. I absolutely love this game. I highly recommend it to anybody who is looking for a new game to play on the Switch, an RPG, or not an RPG. If you're not a fan of RPGs, you'll love this game, let's be real. Okay, that's what everybody who likes Mario RPGs says. If you're saying your favorite RPG is this game, you probably don't like that many RPGs. It's not mine, but it probably isn't that far from the top. Honestly, this is just such a high-quality game. The fact that it's not only more accessible by being on the Switch, but is fully remade in this format, it's just such a great thing. I highly recommend it. You should check this game out as soon as possible. But yeah, that's going to do it for today's review. Please keep yourselves cornered for more Mario, Nintendo, gaming coverage as a whole. And I will see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.